Good morning, friends. Welcome to day one of our TK20 boot camp. It's raining outside, but we're going to have a great day learning together. The purpose of our boot camp today is to have a real kind of roll up your sleeve experience around field experience binders and time logs. That's our topic for today. Before we get started, I just want to let you all know that this meeting is being recorded. So if you feel a little uncomfortable being on camera, you may want to keep your camera off. Since the weather is not cooperating today, a lot of us may want to just keep our cameras off to just help with bandwidth issues. Also, we want to encourage you all to keep your microphones muted as well to avoid any kind of back noise or distractions. All right, now, but it's important for you all to know that this is not my meeting. It's not Misty's meeting, it is our meeting. So at any point that you would love to bring an issue forward, please, let's all work together, put your questions into the chat, engage your mic, turn on your camera if you like. Please be empowered to know that this is your opportunity to learn all about TK20 today. All right, folks, let's get started. Maria, next slide. So I'm Val Hill Jackson. I'm the Assistant Dean of Educator Preparation and School Partnerships, and I have a nice little posse with me today to help us sort of learn about TK20 today. You all, by now, you know our friend Misty Korn. Her new role is now Program Manager for Ed Prep Certifications and Compliance. Misty, you want to just say hi to our friends?
Good morning. Happy Learning Day. I'm glad to be here with you.
I like that, Misty. Happy Learning Day. We also have a new graduate assistant in our office, specifically to support TK20 implementation. Maria, want to say good morning, dear?
Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to see you all again because I saw some of you at orientation, so it's nice to see everyone.
That's right. We've had a couple of orientations just to give you all sort of a peekaboo experience, but today we're going to work really hard. You know, we've recruited Mr. Andy Oswald from Sam Houston State University. I'm going to introduce Andy in a couple of minutes. So thank you, Andy, for being here today. 13 years experience with TK20, and we're going to take advantage of all that know-how today. All right, next slide, please. This is our mission in the Ed Prep office. You know, for many years, poor Misty has been leading this office all by her lonesome. And so she and I have been working together for the last year and a half. And we've worked really hard to kind of clean up what it is that we do. At the end of the day, our mission is to promote the achievement of educator certification students by supporting their examination and field experience needs. That's what we're focused on every day. And so we want you all to know that when it comes to these issues, you can come to us. I just learned today that Misty has the honor of certifying 340 teacher educators, right, for our field. Isn't that exciting to know that we get to touch the next generation of beginning teachers and beginning leaders? So thank you all for being on the call because we're all a part of this. We all have a role to play. Our role is on the examination certification side, and your role is to be in the classrooms to help with all other kinds of support as well, to help them in the field. And we can't do this work without each other. We're about to go into a new day with a way of tracking our work. So now we have to find a way to work together as well to continue to support our Aggies. Next slide. So this new work we're doing to better track our work, to make sure we have the information that TEA requests of us all the time. We're going to move our data platform from the college to TK20. Now, TK20 is an assessment, accountability, and management system to help colleges and universities meet requirements for accreditation. But if we're very smart, we're going to think beyond accreditation, right, and compliance, and really start thinking about continuous improvement as well. So there are lots of little things that we can use TK20 in order to help our programs grow, in order to respond to TEA. And in the next few days, we're going to learn how to use those functions of TK20 to help us do this work. TK20 stands for Technology in Kindergarten through age 20. Next slide, please, Maria. All right, so we're about to go into this sort of big change from our current, data portal to TK20. And when Misty and I when we were meeting with our client success officer at TK20, he asked us, how are things going? And I said, I got to be honest with you, behind the scenes, folks aren't happy about this TK20 change. Getting a lot of resistance, a lot of pushback. A couple people are happy about it, but overall, folks aren't happy. And the reason they're not happy is because we have a system that is working for us, right? And I had to let him know that folks don't look forward to making this change. And he said, well, guess what? You're right on target. Folks are responding just as they should when something new is on the horizon. We've been working pretty well, right, with our current system that is in place. Now we're introducing this foreign element into play, and a lot of folks are just saying, you know what, this doesn't feel right. And over the next couple of months, as we make this move to TK20, it's not going to be comfortable. We're going to have to be uncomfortable. It's going to feel and look a bit chaotic. We're going to enter into this new unknown space. Our old expectations may no longer be valid. Our reactions may cease to be effective. Old behaviors will not be possible. We're going to have to think about ways to behave differently in order to meet the needs of our students. And as we become more and more familiar with TK20, guess what, guys? We are going to do better. It's going to get better through practice and through integration. On the horizon, I want you all to not stay focused on sort of the bad part. We're kind of in a valley right now, but I want to encourage you all to just look out over the horizon. We will get to a place where we're going to feel comfortable again. It feels mighty uncomfortable right now, but we're going to work alongside you as your thought partners, as your worker bees as well, and we're going to get to the other side together. I promise you that. All right, next slide, please. So there are many benefits of TK20, when it comes to all of us on the staff and faculty side. This is going to be a great place for us to store critical information, to track student performance, to really work on continuous improvement as well, but also to meet our compliance needs with TA. When it comes to our students, it's going to be a good place for them to have an electronic gallery of artifacts, see their progress in a program of study, have a fully documented record of their field experiences and their clinical or internship experiences, and then have that electronic portfolio that they'll have access to in the future for potential employers. That's pretty exciting, right? So lots of benefits, not just for us, but for our students as well. Next slide. We're going to use TK20 to really focus on 3 major functions, and we're calling them buckets. Field experiences. Today, we're focused on field experiences and time logs. Tomorrow for boot camp, we're going to shift to a new topic, a new bucket, and the focus will be on portfolios and course-based assessments. And then on day 3, May 21st, we're going to focus on applications and review. These are the 3 major buckets that our college has sort of contracted with TK20 to suit our needs. Next slide, please. So here's our timeline for launching TK20. So after boot camp, right, we want you to know that we are putting together a little, what we call a launch team at the college. But we also want you to be thinking about your own program's launch team. And so we want to get together and meet with your team between June 1st and June 18th to do a little bit of planning, to really understand your needs for those 3 buckets. Then during June and July, we're going to work on constructing all sort of the behind the scenes forms and things that are needed on TK20. We'll be doing that on your behalf, but we cannot do that construction until we've had a chance to meet with you all in your program areas. And then in the first week of August, that's where we're going to do those final checks, maybe run through some dummy students or demo students, so to speak. And then our goal is to launch the first wave of those buckets, right? So I imagine, for example, we'll be ready to launch the applications come August, but maybe we're not ready to launch field experiences until the fall. But that's where the planning comes in. So it's important that you all know who are those critical or key people that need to be in those meetings for June 1st through June 18th. So Misty and Maria will be in touch with all of you, share a doodle poll, and we will get on your calendars and we'll have those planning meetings. That's sort of the follow-up after our boot camp. All right, next slide, please. And we have lots of resources for you. We're building out resources. This is new for us, so we're trying to anticipate your needs. We've so far developed a shared Google Drive, and many of you on this call already have access to it. If you go to our shared drive, we have a specific subfolder labeled May 2021 Boot Camp. Once you get to the TK20 subfolder and you go through there, we're going to park a lot of our documents, handbooks, workbooks, everything that you need in that shared drive. We also are encouraging you all, as you think about your programs, to think about who will be our program launch team, because those folks, those key individuals will meet with our college level launch team to do that planning to help get everyone ready for the launch. And then of course we have our webpage. On our webpage, you'll find a link to access TK20, where you just sort of do your login credentials to get access to TK20. You'll learn more about that in a few minutes. All right, next slide, please. Post implementation, as a heads up, we're going through boot camp and you need to know, like, what are the resources out there? Well, the resources come from really 3 areas. I want to tell you about 2. One from Watermark. They're never going to leave us. They have opportunities for us to seek and ask for support. And they are pretty responsive, according to Andy, and within 24 hours, you send a question and you get a response. Internally in the college, going forward, Misty is considered our unit administrator for TK20. And so if you have particular needs in terms of building forms related to those 3 buckets, she is our point of contact. We now have a new email where you can reach out when you have any questions specific to TK20, and that's tk20@tamu.edu. Our friend Rachna in academic affairs, she's working behind the scenes, this sort of the ugly parts of data and dealing with data load. So she's our go-to person for that. But the third area that's not listed here is all of you. It's important that you understand that a lot of what's going to happen on TK20, especially for those of you who are intimately engaged in applications and field experiences, that you need to really have an understanding and be empowered with TK20. So all of this, I know it's a cliche, means that we're all in this together. And so there is a responsibility for staff and faculty to come up to speed as well. All right, next slide. Here's our agenda. Andy's going to get started in just a second here. I see that I'm a little bit over time. And we've built in a couple of breaks. So don't want you all to panic. We want to go to noon today. And but we're going to make sure that we have an opportunity to build in those bio breaks as well. All right, let's keep this train moving. The next slide, please. Important terms. Before Andy gets started, you're going to hear a lot of terms today that you may not be familiar with. Thank you, Maria, for sending out the fact sheet, the agenda at a glance, as well as today's workbook. So please refer to pages 25 through 27 of your workbook. If a term happens to come across during the presentation and you're not familiar with it, please go to those pages. Perfect. All right. And now I want to introduce to all of you, because it's now time to do the work. Y'all ready? Y'all ready to do the work? Okay, it's boot camp. That means it's time to do the work. The person who is leading our boot camp today and the next couple of days is Mr. Andy Oswald. Let me share a little bio about Andy. Andy Oswald has been the Tk20 unit administrator at Sam Houston since 2008. Prior to this work, he worked at Lone Star College in a variety of roles, starting his higher education journey in 1995. He holds a master's degree from Our Lady of the Lake and a bachelor's degree from Texas A&M in curriculum and instruction. So he's one of us, so we have to be nice to Andy today. He lives in the Woodlands with his wife, Shannon, and German Shepherd, Rose. Downtime includes the Walking Dead series, doing some say that word for me.
Geocaching.
Geocaching. I had to look that up today, Andy. That's pretty interesting that you do that. And ham radio. You got to explain that one too, Andy. And so here's a quote from Andy, and I think you all will like this. I love this, Andy. You write, "Life is good. Seize it and run." Love it, love it. All right, tell us about geocaching and ham radio, and let's get started.
All righty. Well, geocaching in a nutshell is, some people would call it a sport, but it's a somewhat organized effort. And there's one main website where you can tell people the basic GPS location of something that you have hidden, usually outdoors someplace. There's some rules for this, and you can tell them how big it is and how hard it is to get to. And inside of this thing, which might just be a coffee can or something like that, you've got a log so people can write down that they found it. You might throw some simple cheap treasures in there. People might drop off treasures in there that they've found so that the stuff keeps on moving. It's kind of weird. And so you can geocache without being somebody that hides things. You can just go be a person that goes and finds things, or you can be a little bit more active in it. Very easy to get involved in it, and there's a couple of nice apps for your cell phone, which usually has a GPS unit in it, and it gets you outside and gets you walking around. It is a lot of fun. I am a ham radio enthusiast. I don't know if you can see me right now. I've got, well, let's see what I can see here. Yeah, okay. This is my office. I saw some of you all's homes now. I'm in my office, my sewing room, and this is also my radio shack, as it were. I'm kind of, that's a newer activity for me, but it is an enormous amount of fun. There you go.
Wonderful. All right, we're turning it over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to then, let's see, I'm going to stop that sharing, and I'm going to start sharing my screen. And now I can see you all's faces. Good morning. I'm actually going to hide my face here in just a few moments because of bandwidth. We have not gotten the fiber optic upgrade yet, so let me do that right now. There we go. So I'm still here, and again, leave questions in the chat. If it's something urgent that we can get to, we will. A lot to cover today, and I'll be following as reasonably closely to the large document that was sent out as I possibly can. And for right now, though, I am going to share my full screen. And right now I'm in Brave. That's the browser I like to use, although any browser will work. And for right now, let's go and go over here. This is your login screen. And let me see if I can move this thing real quick. There we go. Let's move that down there. this part right here is all you need to log in, tamu.tk20.com, and the rest of it will automatically populate, so you don't have to remember the rest of it. And we're going to be doing things live here. Over the last couple of months, I have created a sandbox of sorts for you to go play in and to go check it out. I built 20 accounts of different types for you all to use. Maria sent these out to the first 20 registrants. After today, those could conceivably be shared, but we'll be using the same ones today, tomorrow, and Friday. And if you received an email from Maria that says, here's your name and here's your user accounts, I would absolutely tell you to play along if you can. I will pause to see if anybody wants to see something or they have a question about it. I'll take my time, hopefully, and we'll see how this goes in terms of getting everybody involved in this as much as possible, because you all are educators. I consider myself to be an educator. And I think the best way to learn is to do. And that doing can happen. It can also happen coming days and weeks following the boot camp. There's a lot of things that we're going to talk about here, primarily for end users. That's what Val has asked me to do, is to gear this toward end users. The things that happen behind the scenes, you may be involved in the future, planning out what you want your stuff to look like. I have taken a number of pages from what we have found works very well at SAM and built some hypotheticals out for you. So I want you to dream what's possible, and is it possible that we could make TK20 do this? Usually the answer is yes. Sometimes we can do it in-house. Sometimes you may have to ask for a customization. Val asked last night when we were talking, how do former students get access to their portfolio? And my brain said, there's two different ways this could happen. And I think we came up with a solution that, Maria or any of the other students 10 years from now would be able to log in and get access to not only her work, but I think principals and other employers would be very interested in seeing how they were assessed, how they grew over time. And that's what TK20 is really good for. Not only that accreditation piece, the part that everybody loves to hate, but also the continuous improvement, a way to look at what's working, what's not working, and then take some action. Come back in a year, look at your data again, which TK20 does very, very well, and see what changed. So with that, we're going to get started. I really hate my voice, so I probably will not listen to this recording. At any rate, and I know that I say a lot, so I apologize for that. I've got my iPad over here on the side where I've got the documents up. We're actually going to start with time logs, and I want to show you how time logs work from the student side and from the approval side. So I'm going to go ahead and log in with my test account, which is utest student 0000. And for you all, the password is the same across the board if you are going to log in with me. Now, one of the things that I had to do, excuse me, when I set this up, since I didn't know who was going to be here and I didn't want to mess with real student accounts, is I set up a bunch of demonstration users. And this bypasses the SSO, your single sign-on. When y'all get in for this, to do this in reality, y'all are going to log with your A&M normal credentials. The SSO will keep track of whatever your current password is, et cetera, and it's pretty easy. Today, I have to trick the system into starting off with a person that's logged in right here. That's actually my first name that I'm logged in here with right now. And if I click on that, it says that my current role is called demo test, which is how I'm bypassing the SSO. I'm going to switch my role to a student. And if you're logged in as your test student right now, you want to go ahead and change your role by clicking right up here to student. And you're going to say, okay, I really want to do this. And what we get now is what a student would see when they log in.
Andy?
Yes.
Hey, it's Misty. In the chat, there's some folks that are having trouble logging in, and they've used the spreadsheet from last night, and they cannot get in. Is there any advice or anything else we should send them?
Well, Aggies is all lowercase. That's important. And you need to put in the letter. It's going to be A, it's going to be A through T, all lowercase, test, and then student or faculty or coordinator, whatever it is, followed by 4 zeros.
Can we type that into the chat? That's a lot to follow.
It was on the spreadsheet that I sent out last night, and it was the first 20 people. I can send or I can direct message you your user name if that's okay with everybody.
That'd be great.
Yes, ma'am.
So there isn't an X, but whatever that first letter is, and then we're going to be test, and then the role, this will be student followed by 4 zeros, and your password will always be in lowercase Aggies. Okay. So there, I'm going to minimize this chat now. When you log in, when a student logs in, when a faculty member logs in, when Misty logs in as a unit administrator, depending upon the role, the choices that you see over here will change. This is your main menu over here on the left, and sometimes it disappears or goes to a hamburger form, and it can you can always get it back, so don't ever panic there. But there are controls that are put on so that, for example, we don't want students to be able to run reports because they could conceivably see things that they shouldn't be able to see. So depending upon what people need to do will be a function of what we see over here and vice versa. So we're going to start off with time logs, and time logs are a relatively new feature in Tk20, and it's completely brilliant, and it allows for students to put in where they were, when they were doing things out in the field, what they did, what they saw, and have someone sign off that it actually happened. TEA is completely good with this sort of thing if you are having to track hours, and if you have an audit, you'll be able to show people, yes, we have people that had 30 documented field hours prior to going into clinical or whatever the case may be. So I'm going to, excuse me, go right up here under the home, which is where you always land, and go to time logs. Now, my test student has already created 4 time logs, and you can see them right here. These first 2 have already been submitted and they've been approved. This one, the student submitted, but the approver, which just happens to be me, has not approved it yet. And we've got another one right here that has not been submitted yet. I did that for a couple of reasons, and I'll show you this in just a few moments. Point being, this list will grow and grow and grow, and it'll always have the most recent stuff up here at the top. There is a scroll bar right down here, which you can scroll back and forth on. We're going to be using one of 4 demonstration time log templates, which I set up kind of on the basis of what we use at SAM. But the beauty is y'all are going to be able to customize this to specific teaching programs or to those advanced programs where you might want to be asking questions of people what they did out in the field differently than what you might have asked them as teachers. And we're going to see that right now. I'm going to click right here where it says create, excuse me, create new activity. Now, when I click here, the first thing that comes up is time log, and the asterisk means the usual thing. This is a required field. And right now, I have 4 demonstration time logs set up that are all basically the same, but much like us, I expect that as someone goes through their program, especially for the student teaching side or for the teacher prep side, they have to have more and more and more hours. And this one right here is set up to have a required 10 hours in Clinical 1. I think this one I have set up for 30 or 60 hours, then like 100 hours or something. And then when they get to Clinical 4, which I believe Val said was student teaching, I think they have to have 420 hours, documented time, 420 hours for their 1 semester clinical or more. But I'm going to go ahead and click right here, and I'm going to choose this one, the Clinical 1 demo test. And then I'm going to come down here, and you've got some choices. You can put whatever you want to right here when you're developing this with Misty or Maria. And I'm going to go ahead and choose that I'm going to do an observation. And here in the reviewer email, if you're playing along at home, I want you to put your Texas A&M email address in. Now, I don't have one, but I have my Yahoo. There it is right there. I've already used it once, so I'm going to put that in. And this person that you're putting in, this reviewer, is the person that can most accurately vouch for the fact that this happened. When students are out in the field doing our field experiences, it's not the university supervisor who they put in here. They're putting in their mentor or the person whose classroom that they're visiting, because that person knows what happened and they can sign off on this. So this isn't just internal to Texas A&M. So what day did this happen? I'm gonna say this happened yesterday, the 18th. And I'm gonna say that I was there from 8 o'clock in the morning. This goes by 15-minute intervals until 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay, something like that. I don't have to put in my name or anything like that because I am logged in, and Tk20 is always tracking who's doing what based upon the login. So I don't need to put my name or anything like that. Now, before I hit this create button, I have to go up here to this secondary questions tab, which is the really customizable part of this. In this case, I've only got 1 required field. However, I would encourage you all to have some details in here. I went to Demo Elementary, by the way, to do my field experience. And by putting in the TEAID, which I believe for you, well, it's 021 is Brazos, and the 901 is College Station ISD, and then I'm using 999 because that one doesn't actually exist. By using this, you can do some really nice cross-referencing versus TAPR data, and it's great. Now, in addition to that, I'm going to say that while I was at Demo Elementary, I was observing 3rd and 4th grade, and I was observing a reading class. And based upon what I think was going on, and maybe I know this for sure, maybe I don't, I'm pretty sure that we had these 3 groups in there. And at this point in time, I can type, I'm not going to type any more than that. What happened? We ask our students at SAM to type 1 to 2 concise paragraphs. We don't need the life story. We don't need what happened every other minute. What happened while you were there? And if necessary, they can upload something else here, but that's not really necessary. So that has filled out this questions tab. And I can come down here to the bottom now and hit this create button. And what you're going to see is this one is up here at the top now because I put it in for 5/18, which was yesterday from 8 to 10. By the way, Tk20 will not allow you to double dip. You cannot have a student, anybody cannot have two time logs that have overlapping time ranges. TK20 says you cannot be in two places at once, and it won't allow that. Also, it will not allow you to create these in the future. So generally, we like for students to do these an hour or so after they finish or the next day. And I'm also going to recommend, excuse me, for the sake of the reviewer, this person right here, which is oftentimes a person on campus who gets way too much email, submit these just once a week or maybe once every few days. But this is created, but it hasn't been signed off. These two have been approved. Somebody has said, yes, this actually happened. This one hasn't even been sent to that person yet. But I can send it, and I can also send this one, which was pending earlier. And I can also send that one, which I haven't submitted yet either. So I can check these ones. These ones I don't have to check. And I can click this submit for approval button. This is all the student doing this. And says, are you sure you want to do this? You're about to send out an email here. Most of the times, obviously, it's going to go to a school district email address. And a word of caution that, well, I'll impart this to Maria's team, well, that administrative team with Val, Maria, and Misty, sorry. Although I think I referenced Maria actually being in charge of everything last night. There are some nuances to sending an email to an ISD email address because of spam filters, and I'll explain that to them separately. But you should be able to get this by if you put in your tamu.edu email address, and even though you've only got one listed here, I'm going to go ahead and hit the submit button. And somewhere, I'm not even sure where y'all's server is located. It's going to be either in New York, I think, possibly in California, but it also might be in Texas, in Austin, where the original TK20 headquarters was before they merged. Now I'm going to go over here to my Yahoo account. This is my Yahoo, and I'm going to hit see if I can get, oh, look at this. Did y'all see that? It just arrived. I've got an email here from tk20@tamu.edu, and it tells me that a student has submitted one or more time logs. Now, I am going to click on this link, and it's very, very simple. Approvers do not have to log in, and this is brilliant. When I do that, it's going to open up a new screen up here. Now, I need to make mention of something real quick. I was logged in as a student right here, and I use the past tense because now I have two TK20 tabs open, and TK20 does use cookies. And basically, if I went back into this tab, it wouldn't work right. So I'm going to go ahead and close that one for right now. We'll come back to that in just a moment. But here I am logged in. I mean, I've got my screen up here in a TK20 screen. You can see it right there that I'm in. And I've got this list of students. Now, if somebody has more than one student, they can use this little drop down to choose which student they want to approve. And there's two ways that you can approve things. Now, this one that I just put in right here is this one. And I can actually click on that link. And I can see exactly what I just put in. Y'all remember me typing reading ... There it was. Okay. 3rd and 4th. I went from yesterday 8 to 10 a.m. It's also keeping track of hours, which is really slick. And you can have it set up to where they can approve these things individually. I'll go ahead and hit approve right here. If the person disagrees, they can reject it. We'll go ahead and hit the submit button. Now, we know that people on campus are very, very busy, and we know that Aggies do not lie, cheat, or steal. At least I remember that from somewhere. And if you so choose, you can have it set up, and I have this one set up, to where a mentor could click this button and it will approve things in bulk. That's up to you if you want to have it set up that way. If I do that, it's going to automatically approve those without looking at them, and the red flag will go away. So I'm going to go ahead and hit approve. And this student now has all of those hours approved. Now I want to pause for just a moment right now, because I've shown you the bulk of what you need to know for time logs. Let me scroll through my documentation here. And make sure that we are good. Yeah, okay. We're pretty good right now. Let me, let's see. Here we go. I'm trying to see everybody here. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Give me a thumbs up if this worked, or if we made sense on how that process works. Okay, Carly liked it. Janine liked it. Gary liked it. Sharon liked it. Kirk liked it. Fantastic. Julie liked it. Okay, it's not difficult. It's different, but it works really well, and it's all tracked in Tk20. And I want to show you the kind of thing that you can get out of this as a result. Okay, so that worked. I'm going to minimize y'all here real quick so that I can see my full screen again. And I'm going to go ahead and close this and log in. Oh, some of y'all sent me yours. This is funny. You didn't have to send me yours. Okay, but that's the way this works, is whoever is in that approver is going to get the email. So whoever has S and whoever has L, I just got your emails. They're right here. Okay. Excuse me. What I'm going to do right now is open up Tk20 again. And for time's sake, and trust me on this, for time's sake, I just want to run a couple of reports to where you can see how that information can come out. And I'm going to log in with an administrative login. So watch this, and Misty or Maria or someone can give you access to these reports if you want it. I'm going to come over here to reports. And I want to show you two very nice reports. I'm going to type in the word time right here. And report number 1 and report number 002 are on these time logs. These are awesome. And I'm going to click on this time log 001 right now. So I'm on the reports tab. I just did a search. It has pulled up this one. This is a core NG report. This was built by Tk20. And oh, it looks like faculty do have access to this. So when you log in as faculty, you'll actually be able to get to this. For right now, I'm going to go ahead and click on this link and show you what is called a front end screen. This is where we choose what we want to see. And it will remember how you last ran this. There's a bit of minutia here, but start thinking in terms of Venn diagrams, in terms of how you're going to choose what we want to see. Now, for this particular example, I'm going to leave all of these set to no. I want to go ahead and use all of my templates that are active. I select all of them, excuse me. I'm only going to run this for the teacher certification time log clinical demo test 1. That's fine. And I'll go ahead and run it basically for all of 2021 that we've seen so far. It's only been used a little bit. You don't need to worry about any of these. I'm going to go ahead and say all to my programs, and I'm going to say all to my majors. Now, sometimes you don't want to cast this wide of a net, but for right now, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to hit this generate button. So I'm looking at you all's bright, shiny faces again. Are we still okay? One of the things that sold SAM on Tk20 was its reporting ability. It does a fantastic job of this, folks. So it looks like I've got a generated report now. Minimize that. Here we go. All right. So what we get here is an analytic display, and over here we get to a data display. This is kind of like a 30,000-foot view, and if you're actually logged in, you can drill down into these. You can click on these links and actually see the different pieces to this. We also have a chart showing that I've got most people have not logged all of their hours. A few people have logged all of their hours or are awaiting submission. And there's some more information right down here that you can drill into. These are links. What I find equally useful for my purposes, though, is the data display. So it's going to generate that report for me real quickly. Somebody got paid to do this graphic. I want that job. Now, what you're seeing right here is the output. I can probably scroll this out just a little bit, but it's going to get hard to see. But this goes student by student. So there's demo student A, B, C, D, all the way down to mine, which was U. Okay. Now you're probably saying to yourself, that's really hard to read and all this other stuff. And that's true. It is. It's hard to read. But it does tell us how many entries they had, when the last time they did something, have they completed it? Because I said 10 hours were required for clinical 1. How many hours have they not submitted? How many are pending? How many are approved, et cetera, et cetera. But here's what's brilliant, because this is kind of hard to see. I can export this to Excel. And this is where the rubber meets the road in terms of what I do. I'm going to go ahead and say that's fine. It's called export number 1. I can rename that if I wish. And we'll open it up here. So I've got some header information. This is how I ran the report. That's when I ran the report. And I have a list of students' first names and last names. This is actually going to be their ID number right here, which is a very good way to uniquely identify someone. What time log did they complete? And I can scoot this out just a little bit. So they're using a teacher certification time log. What does it probably say? Clinical demo 1. There we go. How many total entries did they have? And now you can actually obviously convert this to numbers if you wish. You can actually very, very quickly do some filtering and figure out who's behind, who's finished, all of that information. This is one of the reports, brings it out just that fast. So once again, I look at you all's faces, or your names at least. I'm not sure. I thought I stopped my video. That's interesting. Well, at any rate, thumbs up. Is that okay? That's one report. I'm going to run one more for y'all just to show you what that looks like. We're almost at break time, by the way. Okay, got a couple of thumbs up here. Awesome.
Andy, there was a question in the chat as to, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get back to that, as to whether or not you can see days and hours.
Oh, yes. Can I run another report for you?
That would be fantastic. I think we'd appreciate that.
Okay, here we go. Let's do it. So I'm going to go ahead and close this spreadsheet. I'm going to save it. And you can see how it kind of closed up the side over here. I'm going to click on this hamburger, hit reports, and I'm going to search for time once more. So you said you want details, time log report 002, and I have got details for you. This report can get to be overwhelming. Let me tell you that. So right now it's not bad right now at all because it hasn't been used a lot. There we go. When y'all have a mature system, you really, really need to watch your Venn diagram, because if you cast a wide net, this report can take 30 or 40 minutes to run. For right now, this is already set up. I've run this before. It remembers how I have it set up. I want all of these. I want the demo test teacher certification. I'm going to take all 4 of my time log instances, all of my time log templates, even though we're only just using this first one right here. I could actually roll this back to January 1st like I had the other one. Form completed by student. I want any time log entry, whether it was approved, not submitted, pending, or if it was rejected. Let's get them all on there. And I've chosen all of my programs, all of my majors. And once again, I'm going to hit generate. This is time log report number 2. And instead of one student per line, now there is going to be one line per entry. So test student A is going to have 4 or 5 lines to it. Test student B, 4 or 5 lines. So here's test student A, here's test student B. We could actually see all of these if we wanted to, and it's actually got a breakdown of where people were going by the campus name. But once again, the data display is the one I want to go to, and I want to pull this thing into Excel where I can actually do something with it. I love HTML as much as anybody else does, but this does me no good because I can't wrestle with it when I export it to Excel. So I'm going to export to computer. Here it comes. I want an Excel, export all rows, export. Okay, here it comes. Let's take a peek at it. And lo and behold, let me maximize this, and I'll even zoom out a little bit. This is student, not student by student, entry by entry, and it's going to show the most recent ones, I think, up at the top. Yeah, I think these are, I think we've got the most recent things up at the top, but it gives you every single piece that was filled in and the stuff it shows on that second page, that questions page. What were you teaching? What grades were you teaching? What were the special populations? And again, that's all for y'all to customize. Y'all can do whatever you want to with that. I built something out to help you all to dream a little bit. But there it is. And I'm seeing some different names in here. Here is K Green at tamu.edu. And it looks like K Green has not approved this one yet because it's still pending approval, but it'll, we can run this later. This is a static report, so you have to rerun it each time, but you can easily keep track of how many hours people do. Now I want to show y'all's bright shining faces here once again and make mention that with a little bit of Excel magic, what we've had to do at SAM, and I know we're about to take a break, so let me finish up with this thought. As far as I understand, TEA requires a certain number of 7-hour days. And some of our students, like if they're doing agriculture or music, might go to several different campuses on the same day. And what we had to teach them to do was to put it all into one time log, because then I can take an Excel spreadsheet like this and build what is called a pivot table, eliminate the non-7-hour days, anything less than 7, and then I can easily use the pivot table to tell our EPP department, here's where everybody stands in terms of approved 7-hour days as a part of student teaching. And so we can tell who's keeping up with this and unfortunately who's not, and they're going to get a nasty gram in their email say, you need to get this caught up because we can see this. So that's what I've got for you in basically part 1. It is 10 o'clock. If you have survived with me this far, make it a red ribbon day. And I'm going to stick around here and y'all can unmute, but let's take a break. It's according to the clock. If we do a 10 break, we can answer questions 10 minutes. But let's get started again at 10:05. Is that with everybody?
Sounds good, Andy. 10:05. We'll
All right.
come back to our laptops and desks to get started again.
Okay.
Thank you,
I'm
sir.
going to stop sharing then. How do I stop?
All right, everyone. See you all back here at 10:05. Thank you.
What did I do here? Oh, here we go. Stop sharing. There we go. All right. So if you're here with me and you have a question or something, you can unmute and ask me.
Hi, Andy. It's Kara.
You're Kay
Um,
Green.
Hi. Yes, that's me. Is there a way to report absences in TK20?
Say that again. My internet's a little bit wobbly.
Okay. Is there a way to report absences?
Unfortunately, no. It would not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Now, you know what? Now that I think about it, I've got an idea. I have an idea. So
Okay.
you remember in the time logs when I did the time log creation,
Uh-huh.
and I chose either observation or active involvement.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that on the very first page.
Yes.
Y'all could add a new category that says absent, and they would create a time log for their absence. How does
that
that
would
sound?
be great. That would be great.
There it is, a solution that I hadn't, a problem I hadn't thought of. There's a solution. So you're actually using time logs to document non-hours, and they'd actually probably have to get you, the faculty member, to approve that. So you're aware.
Awesome.
Awesome.
That's great to know, Andy. And this is exactly what you're talking about. Dream it, right? And then think through this, the solutions, and we can create the kind of system that we need. So
Absolutely.
thank you for that.
In fact,
Awesome.
that's an idea worth stealing.
Don't steal it.
I'm going to suggest that for Samfo. I'll give you credit. Anybody
You
else have
stole
a
it all
question?
yourself, so that's fair. Sounds good. Thank you.
Got about 7 minutes. If you have a question that is peachy, we can do that.
Andy, I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
How do students learn how to input all this data? Are there training videos available they can watch, or do we have to teach and provide that?
Okay. And by the way, I gave to Maria, Val, and Misty a Microsoft Word doc where I went out and created some videos on y'all's server. So it looks like y'all's server using this demonstration stuff, which y'all can share with other people if you wish. I would recommend that you make your own videos. This is my personal recommendation. Make your own videos once you've got your forms built out, because they might go, this doesn't look like what we're actually using. No, you're using Andy's stuff. Came out of Andy's brain, and y'all's reality may be a little bit different. So I like those. There are training documents on the Tk20 support screen. Let me share that here real quickly. Let's share my screen. Here we go. Go back to Tk20. Okay, here we go. This help desk right here, this help desk icon right here will actually take you to Tk20 user guides, which are beyond generic. They are generic. So videos, YouTube videos, once your system has had its customizations done and you kind of know what they're going to look like. Although the process that students use to complete these is identical, it's just that the questions are a little bit different. So if you want to use my videos, you can. And probably don't want to edit this one out, but I mean, what you saw is not difficult. Probably the most difficult thing is trying to remember, which they will after a while, what their TEA campus ID is. But that's easy to look up on TAPR. Got about 5 minutes. Any other questions? This is awesome. By the way, Beth, I hope that answered your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Some students like to have a bulleted list. Do this with screenshots. That's great. In this day and age with high-speed internet, if you create videos that are like bite-sized chunks, how to do this thing, I think you're going to have some pretty happy campers.
Thank you, Andy. And I appreciate you doing those initial videos for us so we can start sharing those. But the goal this summer is to have these very short how-to videos for our students. So we got you, Beth.
Well, here's another beautiful thing. Now that we all know how to use Zoom, since what, March of 2020, everybody knows how to use Zoom now. We will have students that are having trouble with something, and I'll be in my office. The student is at home. I'll set up a Zoom meeting. Okay, student, show me your screen. Let's walk through this. Boom, done. And they remember.
And it's
I
not
bet-
really a question. Oh,
go ahead.
it's not really a question, but several faculty and staff members were having difficulties or they did not receive a email that their time hours were approved.
Interesting. It usually takes, okay, that's a very good question, Maria. And let me address that right now. It usually takes 1 to 2 minutes. You saw how long it took on mine for it to arrive. Now, if it doesn't arrive, if they went through all the steps and they said, I want, I want to submit this for approval. And I know this is stupid, but if they, if they spelled their email address correctly and it still didn't arrive, more than likely, I know this sounds crazy, and it sounds like some people's did, but it sounds like the spam filter caught it. So you can go look in your spam box or your trash box if you can see that on your email where it throws things that it thinks are junk. Go look in there, and I'll go ahead and mention, since we have a couple minutes here, the workaround. Maria, this is going to be important for you and for Misty also, because it's going to come up. My mentor teacher in Bryan ISD is not getting my approval emails. What's wrong? Okay, it happens all the time for us. The student needs to go to that mentor. You send them an email, say, student, go to your mentor, please send an email to tk20@tamu.edu. Put something in the subject line, put something in the middle of it, and send it. And what that generally does 99% of the time is what's called whitelisting. And it will whitelist that email address, telling the server this is an okay email address to get something from, since the user sent something to it. Okay, it's kind of a reciprocal thing to where that email opens the door, and then you tell the student, okay, now go in and resubmit those for approval.
So
And 99% of the time it works. That 1% of the time I cannot explain. And what we usually end up do is saying, go see if your mentor is okay using their Yahoo account or their Gmail account. Not the greatest idea in the world, but we make it work.
So I submitted mine to myself.
Yep.
I did not ever get an email. It's not in my deleted files and it's not in my junk folders.
Okay.
So should I go ahead now and send an email to TK20 from my A&M email address?
Let's do something here real quick. Oh, I'm already sharing here. Okay. So can you see my screen?
I
Whoops.
can.
Okay, let me minimize that. What was your test student?
M.
M?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so this is the one right there. It's pending approval. So it was sent out. This is how I'm checking real quick. And that is the correct email address, right?
Yes.
Okay. More than likely, I would suggest if you were to send an email to tk20 at tamu.edu and then resubmitted this, I'll bet you it would work.
So send an email to tamu.tk. What's the address?
tk20 at tamu.edu. Okay.
All right, Andy, it's 10:06.
Yeah.
All right.
So what you just saw there were a couple of reports that and you can kind of see the reporting process out of TK20 with those also. We're going to run some more reports today after we get through with some field experience binders. I'm sorry, what? Are we good? Are we back? Okay, we're back.
I believe we're back.
believe we're
Welcome
back.
back, everybody.
Excellent. So what we're going to do now, and there's a reason that I did the time logs first. We're going to get into what are called field experience binders. I'm going to go ahead and close this, and I'm going to log in with my demo coordinator account. So open up a new tab here, TK20. Go, and I am test coordinator 0000, and I put in my password Aggies. Okay. I'll go ahead and save that. Same song, second verse. I need to flip this from a demo test type, and we're going to flip this to faculty. Okay, let's talk a little bit about a field experience binder. This is where we started at SAM. I've been there for 13 years. That's where they started 15 years ago. I wasn't there for the first couple of years. Turns out one of y'all's graduates, Dr. Eric Wilson, was our first TK20 administrator. I don't know if anybody knows Eric or not. Great guy. And then I took over. TK20's fielders are positively brilliant. And it uses a database construct, if I can use a matrix type of word. It's a construct wherein a student is associated with one or more different people, assessors. And we're going to see an example as if this were student teaching, where we've got the student who is specifically associated with a university supervisor, associated with a mentor teacher 1, a mentor teacher 2, and a principal. Now, we know that university supervisors at your campus or at our campus, they have a lot of different students. So when we see this, you're only going to see one student, as it were. Because I just didn't have time to set it up where everybody had a bunch of students. That would have gotten a little bit insane. But in reality, any of you all who are watching people and are going to be using field experience binders, which definitely will happen in student teaching and quite possibly in some of the levels below that, it'll be set up to where you'll be able to see all of your students and then click on them one at a time. And we're going to see that here in just a few seconds. But back to that construct, we've got these roles. We've got the students, we've got the faculty member, we've got the mentors. But everybody has something to do. So the student has tasks that they need to accomplish. And the faculty members have assessments and forms they need to fill out. Same with the mentors. And unless you specifically say, don't show this to someone, which if we were doing if we wanted to do a survey, how is this mentor doing? Do we like this mentor or not? We'd probably want to hide that from the mentor at least, because that would be a bad mojo. But generally speaking, you leave it wide open so everybody can see everything. The principal can see everything that the mentors have had to say. They can see what the student has done. The student can see what the mentor's feedback is. The student can see what the faculty member's feedback is. It is a very transparent system that groups people together. And as a coordinator, the way I've got this set up, you're going to be able to look but not touch, and you'll immediately see how this is set up. So what I want for you all to do, if you're logged in with me as a coordinator, and I'm logged in here as my demo coordinator, is come over here to where it says field experience on the left. And what you're going to see more than likely is just one link right here, and that's fine. Thing is, there's a bunch of people out there. And if you needed to look for someone in particular, you could actually search for their name right here. I'm just going to go ahead and click on this link. And I actually broke the class up into two halves. So some of you all are going to see A through what is it, K, and the other half is going to see L through U. This is not the person that is assigned to me, but as a coordinator, I can look at anybody. And this is set up ahead of time. Very, very easy. I'm going to click now on this particular student. And we're going to spend a few minutes and look at this from a 30,000-foot view, and then we're going to zoom in. And I am going to pause for just a moment to look at your faces and see if we're good. This is an administrative view of things. Look, but don't touch. The touching is going to be for the student. The touching is going to be for the university supervisor. I'm sorry, yeah, for the university supervisor, or for the principal, or for the mentors. This is where someone can monitor what's going on, very specifically looking at individual students. Okay, I'm going to minimize y'all again. All right. When you hit this from the coordinator view, and as it turns out, this is also going to be very similar to a mentor-teacher view or to the university supervisor view, and we'll get there in a few moments. But when you get here, there's a left-hand side over here, which is the student side. These are the things that the student needs to do. They have something to do on this tab. They have something to do on this field experience binder tab. They have something to do on this binder tab. This is where the student is doing things, and there's some specific information right here. Before we zoom in, let's talk about the right side. The right side are the non-student assessors, the principal, the two mentors, the faculty member. Now this is listing them here. We've got a mentor teacher 2, we've got a principal, and we've got, zoom down just a little bit more here. There we go. We can see these different forms. These are all forms that need to be filled out. Some of them are assessments by the different people. And here is the person. You can see their name is right here. I know those aren't real names. That's okay. The principal hasn't looked at this one yet. That's all right. This faculty member has already started working on it. That mentor teacher 2 hasn't started working on it, but the mentor teacher 1 has done a few things right now. The last thing before we zoom in here, excuse me, is if we move our mouse or cursor, whatever, to the center, I can move this left and right. So if I need more space to see things, I can move it left and right. If you've got a big enough monitor, it's probably not going to make a difference. If you've got 2 monitors, you can stretch this thing across both screens if you want to. Now, let's zoom in a little bit and talk about the field experience binder that the student is completing. I mentioned earlier, we have tabs. And I also mentioned earlier that students have specific tasks that have been set up ahead of time that they need to do. Now, I set these things up based upon largely what we do at SAM that seems to work. However, y'all want to set this up in terms of its organization of tabs, and what those tasks are, excuse me, for students is up to the programs. It's up to you all, to the faculty. Communicate this with Maria and with Misty. They will build the smaller pieces, and then they'll put it all together into one big field experience binder. You can throw a test student into this thing and see what it looks like. So dream with me a little bit. I have a student being required to do some beginning of semester forms. They're required to do some individual time log entries. We're going to talk about these two a little bit more in just a moment. They have to do some reflections. That sounds good. They need to do a self-assessment of dispositions. We require at SAM that students upload their lesson plans that they intend to be teaching on 24 hours in advance of their scheduled observations so that the mentor teacher and the university supervisor have some idea of what they're going to do. And then we have some things that happen here at the very, very end. Basically them saying, yes, I have seen everything and I agree with this. Some of that's compliance. This is kind of a compliance thing. This is kind of a compliance thing. But now let's click on one of these. Here's beginning of semester forms. Now, this student has actually completed this already because there's a hyperlink here. And when I click on this hyperlink, I can see that the student said that they agreed to follow all of the policy. Actually, I don't even see that there. That's interesting. There should be I don't know why there's not a yes right there. I may have left that off. They said yes, that they must. Oh, wait a minute here. Yeah, I think I may have skipped past this for some reason. I'd have to go back and look at the student. The student's required to answer this question. They're not going to be able to submit this binder until they do. But that should be a yes. They didn't say yes to this. They did say yes to this and they dated it. So we may have to get on that student's case. This is, I think I'm on student. Yeah, I'm on student L right now. I need to tell that student they need to say yes to this to fully do this. But I can see that that hasn't been done. I'll go ahead and click on the end of semester forms here. I think this is complete. Yeah, this one has not been done at all. That kind of makes sense. There's no link here. We're going to come back to the time logs here in just a moment. Let's take a look at these reflections. Now, this was an idea that we use. We ask for the student to reflect on how they're doing in the first half and in the second half of student teaching, basically with Mentor 1 and then with Mentor 2. And so I built a form here on y'all's server called Strengths, Areas to Improve, and Moving Forward. Kind of like goals, I guess. Now, I had to build a whole bunch of these things. Okay, it looks like I put the X in the wrong place. That should have been down here. But suffice to say that the student said, these are my strengths. This is where I think I need to improve. And this is my plan moving forward. This X should have been here. The Y should have been here. The Z should have been here. I think I was doing this last night and I was a little bit tired. But the coordinator can see this. And when we log in as a faculty member here in just a few minutes, we're going to be able to see this also. So the coordinator view is actually seeing everything. Has the student done their dispositions yet? Nope. The student has not completed their self-assessment of dispositions. Have they uploaded any lesson plans? Nope, they have not uploaded any lesson plans. In this case, I would be able to click on this link right here and it would open up to where I could download a Word document, which is probably how they're going to do their lesson plans is in Word. And you'd be able to see that. So I don't have an example of that just, but you can build these forms so that the student has to do certain things. And this is how that I have them organized. And I'm going to pause for just a moment and see if you'll have any questions right now before I look at time logs. So if you want to unmute real quickly and ask a question about the student side, that would be fine.
Hello, Andrew. Can you hear me?
I can.
How does a student upload their lesson plan?
That's an excellent question, and you're stealing my thunder because we are going to demonstrate this on the student side after we get done demonstrating the coordinator view. How's that sound?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anyone else? Okay. All right. So let's talk briefly about time logs. And this is unspectacular. I hope Tk20 makes it better. They're, how do I say this? Communicating to faculty and to mentors directly time log information is not easy unless you're the approver and you're signing off on these things. And I actually talked to Tk20 about how to do this, and they gave me the following solution, which I thought was really, really clunky, but I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to click on this time logs tab, And I built just 5 slots right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The student has already filled in 4 of these. And if you're willing to put about 70 or 80 of these in, they could drop a time log into each slot. And you could actually click on these things. I'm actually going to take a look at a time log that this student teacher did. Here's a student teacher. The L, I don't know who is L right now. They did this at, this may have been mine that I did, but you can see exactly how this was filled out. And I approve, or no, I can't even touch these. This is for someone to look at. So it is very, very detailed. You can look at any of these things individually. I don't know if anybody has time to do that, but that's one possibility. But you'd have to put in a whole bunch of slots down here to do that. And I didn't think that that was necessary for this demonstration. It does give you an extreme amount of detail, and it tells you whether or not these things have been done. I'm sorry, you can see on here whether or not it's been signed off on, and it gives you the date and the time. That's one way to do time logs. What I'm going to suggest, if y'all want to do this, is to do a weekly summary. And this was not suggested to me by Tk20. I came up with this myself. And as I told Val, I think we're going to steal this idea for Sam Houston. In this case, I built out a place for week 1, week 2, week 3, all the way down to week 14, usually 14 weeks in student teaching, and a place for students to upload a couple of screen captures. I'm going to click on this right now. And I'm all, first of all, going to look at the screen capture showing entries. And when I open this up, you should probably say, hey, that looks familiar. You can say it out loud if you want to. Hey, that looks familiar. You've seen this before. Actually, this is, I use the same one for everybody. So this is not L demo student, but the student can take a screenshot. This is not difficult. They could take a picture with their phone if they wanted to. But take a screenshot. Everybody knows how to do that now. Take a screenshot and upload it. I'm going to close that one now. Oh, and by the way, remember how I said it always shows the most recent stuff up at the top? Okay. Well, here's the last 4 days. That's all it's got in there right now. But we'd probably be able to see the last 10 days or 2 weeks on a screenshot. So if we upload that weekly, then the mentors and the faculty university supervisor can see this, and they can see, hey, this student is keeping up with things. And look, they're getting them approved as well. That's good. So that's one thing that I built in here that you could do if you wanted to, if you're going to do these time logs that way. But the other thing that I said is on a weekly basis, student, you also need to upload a dashboard. Now, I didn't show you this, and I probably should have when we were on that student view and we were creating a time log. But there was a dashboard view, which if you go back a little bit later after class, when class is done, if you go back and open up your student view, you're going to be able to click on a time log dashboard, and it's going to look something like this. There are going to be 2 tabs right here. We were just looking at the entries tab. I just made a screenshot of the dashboard, and this is for, the clinical one, which, as I said, only had 10 hours required. So maybe I used the wrong one, but whichever time log you want to have them upload, you can have them take a screenshot of the dashboard. And here we can see how many hours are not yet logged. This will add up to 10, 5 hours plus 1 hour plus 2 hours plus 2 hours, pending, not submitted, approved, and not yet logged. Boom. Is the student keeping track of their time logs? It sure does look like it. And by virtue, I'm going to hit this little back button right here. By virtue of the fact that they're going to upload 2 screenshots for each week, either the coordinator or the faculty member, if they so choose, could come in and look at these and say, yeah, they're keeping track of all of this. I think I just heard somebody say something, so I'm going to pause and see how we're doing on that. I like solution number 2. I don't like that really detailed thing, but that's just me. Everybody okay? Thumbs up?
I have a question. It makes this, and maybe I'm misunderstanding, but it seems like students have to do time logs twice. Once in the time log and then upload this?
Well, okay, all right. That is a good point. And the short answer is yes. The reason I'm putting it here in the field experience binder, which you don't have to do, but the reason I put it here is so that the faculty member who is maybe the university supervisor, who may only have 4 or 5 students, maybe you've got more, I don't know, can keep track of the time logs just by going into the field experience binder. They don't have to go run a report on their own. They could. They email Maria, will you please run me a time log report? And Maria would say, sure, and she'd run the time log report, which is what we run reports for faculty once a month. And we send them out to them once a month, which is more than sufficient. But if you wanted to have the student actually monitor their own, and let me put it this way, the fact that they have to upload it right here forces them to do these, because we've got some slackers at SAM. We've got some faculty members. It's like, oh, don't worry about your time logs. Oh, no. We will not certify you, period, end of story, unless we see, what is it, 70 or 65 or 70-hour days in student teaching. We've got to see those. We've got to see that documentation. So we force the student to do that. And this is a secondary way to say to the student, keep track of your hours. And a screenshot is very, very simple. And uploading, as we'll demonstrate in just a few moments, is also very, very simple as a student. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All righty. So I'm going to minimize you all once again. This is the student side. And you can see how this was set up. We have all these tabs, and there are tasks inside of each tab. There's 3 places for lesson plans to go right here. Boom, boom, boom. That's where the student's going to upload them. They're going to complete a reflection, 2 reflections, is the way I've got this set up. Boom, boom. This is up to y'all. What do you want the student to do? And I'll say equally important, it will be important, I think, to have for the university supervisors to have one calendar, and everybody knows that by April 1st, if we're in the spring semester, by April 1st, that first reflection better be in there, or by this date, this needs to have happened, so that is communicated well. But let's talk about this right-hand side. This is the assessor side. I'm still the coordinator. I'm still logged in. I can't touch anything, but I can sure look at things, and anything that has been done or touched has an update here. This first mentor finished their required forms. Hopefully this one's got the yes on it. I hope I didn't mess this up twice. Here we go. This is the same form that we make the student do. I agree to follow the policies and guidelines outlined in the student teaching handbook. By the way, this website does not exist. I made that up. But the mentor teacher said yes, and they dated it. This is like an electronic signature. Now, I don't want to hit close. That would take me back to my list of students. I actually want to hit this little back button right here. Okay. So as the coordinator, I can see that. Turns out the student can see that too. The faculty members, university supervisors can watch to make sure this stuff is getting done. I don't know who is responsible for being the watchdog, because frankly, I mean, we have some slacker students. We have maybe we have a slacking university supervisor here or there. We will not name names. And we certainly have mentors that need to be motivated to do things because they may not be aware of it. They don't have time. mentor, please go in and complete this dispositions assessment on the student. This one has not been filled out. We can see that from not a date, but I can look at it. This is the empty form right here. This is what I put together for a dispositions assessment. And I believe this is based upon, what is this T-test? I think this is T-test, isn't it? Sure does look like it. I think this is it. So they haven't used the Likert scale to talk about the candidate at all. It's completely blank. Okay, when it is filled out, you'll see little dots on here that you can see, but you cannot touch. Down here for the faculty, the university supervisor, okay, they have filled out strengths, areas to improve, and moving forward. This one, I don't know why this is out of order. This one's down here though. First third, second third, and third third, as if these were based upon observations. I've got an observation form here, which Misty is going to love because she has to upload all this information into Tk20. And so if she uses this form, which she can if she wants to, for principals or for student teachers or whoever, it asks you, for you, the university supervisor, what's your TEA ID number? Talk to me about the pre-observation. Talk to me about the observation itself, especially like how long it was. And then any notes and the date of your post observation. And Misty will be able to run a report out of Tk20 with all this information on it, do a little bit of Excel massaging. I hope you're smiling, Misty. Do a little bit of Excel massaging and do a direct upload into the TEA system for their observation requirements. We do this and we love it. So 30,000 foot view, and you can drill down. You can look at any of this stuff in detail, whether it's been done or not, from a coordinator view that you all can have if it's set up that way. And I turn back on my screen of people and I say, what do you think so far?
Dr. Byers has a note asking, why can't Tk20 add 4 hours at one campus and 3 hours at another to total 7 hours a day?
It can, okay. If the student, that's a good question. If the student completes 2 separate time logs, one here and one here, it'll have 2 different lines. It'll have time log 17 and time log 18 for this student. And if you so choose to do it that way, it'll work. Promise you, it'll work. But when it comes time to count 7-hour days for TEA requirements, the person that runs the report is going to have to do a little bit of Excel magic to make that happen, which I'll be happy to teach you all that if you want to see it. In fact, if you want to follow my Twitter account, it's called Dreams in Excel, because sometimes I dream in Excel. At any rate, it can be done that way. We encourage, and we don't have that many students that actually switch campuses on a daily basis. So we tell them just to fill out one, and it works. It works for us. You can do it the other way though. Everybody else okay? All right. So I'm going to minimize you all one more time. Let me scroll down here on my documentation, make sure where we're at. Okay. Yep, it looks pretty good here so far. All right. Let's change gears and let's look at this from the student point of view, and then we'll take a break. Yay, break time. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to log out. Now I'm going to hit this close button. It'll take me back to my list of students. There they are. There's my menu again. It says, hi, you demo coordinator. I'm going to go ahead and log out of here, sign out. And now I'm going to log in as my demonstration student. I'm using you again, so it's you test for me. You test student 0000. I'm going to get back into that student account. If you're playing along at home, fantastic. Bypassing the SSO, I'm going to flip this from demo test to student. And now I'm looking at this as if this were an actual human being, when in fact, it's just a bunch of electrons spinning around. Okay, so we're back to the student view. And this will hopefully answer at least a couple of questions about what does the student do? Well, let's talk about that now. I'm going to come down here to field experience, same place where that coordinator view went, field experience. And here is this student's field experience binder. This thing just started a couple weeks ago. It's set to end in a couple weeks. Don't worry about the due date. Student has not submitted it yet. We'll talk about submitting in a few minutes. I'm the one who created it. And here are the people who are involved in it. It's right there. I have not submitted it, so there's still a red flag, and I am now going to click on that link. Now, this should look very familiar if you were paying attention 5 minutes ago, because this looks like the left side of the screen, doesn't it? We have beginning of semester forms, individual time logs, weekly time logs, reflections, dispositions, lesson plans. We've also got these two down here, which weren't there before, but we can talk about those in just a few moments. So the student's basic information is going to be listed here. Those mentors are at Demo Test Elementary. And the reason it's listed here 3 times, 1, 2, 3 times, is because as Val wanted, she said, we need to have 2 mentor teachers and a principal. I said, okay. And so for each person, it lists their site information. Now, if this student during the first half went to Demo Test Elementary, and then for the second half, they went to Bryan High School or something like that, you know, like maybe a PE teacher does elementary and then a high school placement, then it would have 2 different listings here, okay? Now, normally, for us, 99% of the time, they're at the same school, but it's going to give you that information. But let's pay attention, though, to these forms. This is where I need to do something. Remember, I'm the student right now. What do I need to do? Well, let me click on this one and see if it's been done or not. Okay, this is where I can fill out a form. And as it turns out, as a student, if I don't like this, I can delete it. There's a delete button right there. I can also go in and edit this. Let me show you. This form's already been completed, but let me show you that I could actually, you have to answer yes to these questions. I could actually change this to 510. Whoops, 5, try that one more time, 10. No. I'll just change it to 512. There we go, we'll do it like that. So I can change this if I want to, and then I can hit this update button, and I'll show you why that will be a good idea in just a few moments. But we're on that very first tab. I'm going to go ahead and hit update. This has now been updated. And I want to throw out a very strong word of caution right now. You can set up a field experience binder to where you require all participants to complete every single form before they can click the submit button. Otherwise, it'll say, no, you can't do that. Or you can set it to where they don't have to complete every single form. Sometimes these extra forms are literally extra, and there's nothing really that we need to worry about with those. And if you set it up to where they're not required to fill out all the forms, and they click the submit button, which I am not going to do, if they click the submit button and say, okay, yeah, I am confirming this, it will lock them out of any further changes on anything. And I cannot, I mean, I could stomp my feet, but I'm on a concrete foundation, wouldn't do much good. But I'll pound my fists if you want me to and say, Everybody, students, mentors, faculty, do not click on the submit button until the very, very end when you are certain that every single task is done. Because even though you can be unlocked, it's probably going to be a phone call or an email to Misty or Maria saying, "When I accidentally clicked submit, will you please let me back?" Yeah, we'll let you back in. But avoid doing that. Or you can set it to where they can't until everything is done. That might be the safe bet. It is up to you. A couple more things here. I know it's 10:42. On the student side, can the student upload an additional time log? Absolutely. These are the ones they've already uploaded. The student hits the select button. Hey, here's that fifth one. That's the one, whoever was, oh, that was me. I did that. I'm sorry. I'm you. Silly me. I'm you. I just created that one from 8 to 10. That's it. Okay. That's how hard that was. Folks, there was a question earlier. Do the students have to do this twice? Yeah, but most of the work is over there on the building of the time log. Here, I just clicked on a link and stuck it in there. Problem is, this list is going to get extremely long over time, and I'm not sure anybody wants to do that. We saw this earlier, weekly time logs. Okay, this is where I did an upload of those things. I'll do the same one right here. I'll hit the select button, and what happens here is very interesting. It creates a new artifact and gives it a name. Don't worry about the name it gave it. Don't worry about that. Here is where I can choose a file to upload. Okay. All right, I'm going to upload. This is going to be to the same time, the same picture. Time log details. There's a screenshot of my time log details. Boom. I've just uploaded that one. Let's upload the dashboard. And I'd have to do this. I'd have to make screenshots every week. Big deal. I now choose add. And I'm going to come down here and go and hit the save button. Save is always good. As soon as I hit this save button, anybody else, coordinator, mentor, faculty, can now see that I have done this. Very transparent. It is now viewable. If I was back in my coordinator account, I wouldn't see two of these. I wouldn't see one of these. I'd see both of them, and I could look at both of them. We're going to demonstrate that as a faculty member after the break. But for right now, reflections. I've done this one. I'm not sure if I filled this one out right. Let's see if I did. I think I put an X, Y, Z. I put them in the right slots on this one, X, Y, and Z. This is normally where you would have someone talk about their strengths, areas to prove, and plan moving forward. It is kind of like a reflection, I think. Student can upload something if they wish. I'm not going to make any changes, so I'm going to hit cancel. Here's where they would do the second half one. It's sitting right here. It hasn't been created yet. This not submitted simply means that button hasn't been clicked, and we know not to click the button. Here is a place where the student could create a self-assessment of dispositions based upon a Likert scale. Here is where the student could upload the lesson plans. I'm going to upload a generic file, and we'll pretend that it's a lesson plan. I'm calling it generic submission. It's just a Word doc it's just a Microsoft Word doc. I have uploaded this. I hit add. Okay, that one's done. I hit save. Now my faculty member and my mentor can see the lesson plan that I am going to teach in the next 24 hours for an observation. By the way, I didn't mention this, but there's instructions here that you can customize tab by tab by tab that tell the student what to do. You can do that too. Here I've got an end of semester forms tab, and very, very briefly, it basically asks the questions, and I'm going to have to open up this artifact also. Have you seen everything? Have you reviewed all of the forms by the university supervisor? Have you seen everything? Have you reviewed all of the forms by the mentor teachers? Do you have any comments? Okay, I believe it is a TEA requirement for students to say, yes, I have seen everything. Here, I'm doing it electronically. You could also make it very short and just leave off the comments. Have you seen your observation 1, 2, and 3 results? I'm going to cancel for right now because I really haven't. I haven't seen those, which raises the question, how do students see what other people are doing? Because I told you they're parent, and the answer is right here. When I click on this tab, you're going to say, hey, that looks like the right side of the screen where the student can see everything that's been filled out. Now, most of these are blank. We know that, but I'm pretty sure I filled out this areas to improve for the first third. I think I did this one for the faculty member. I'm going to take a guess and see if I did. Unfortunately, the student cannot tell if these are filled out or not. They have to actually look at them. Yes, this faculty member completed strengths, weaknesses, and goals on test student U, giving them X, Y, and Z. Okay, that's fine. But the student can see this. I'm still logged in as a student right here, and I can see what everybody else is doing. I can even see something stupid like beginning of semester forms that the mentor filled out. They said yes, yes, and put a date there. Okay, that's nice. I might be really interested in what the mentor has to say about my strengths, areas to improve, and moving forward plans. I might be very interested in how they have assessed my dispositions. Turns out dispositions is one of those things you might want to keep hidden from the students. It's up to you. Sometimes students don't like seeing how their dispositions have been assessed. You can hide any of these forms from the student or anyone else that you wish to. At Sam Houston State University, we do not allow for Mentor 1 to see Mentor 2's assessments and vice versa. And the reason that we do that is we want everybody to start with a clean slate because maybe the student made a big change in the second half. We don't want for the first half to have an influence on the second half. The faculty member, the university supervisor, can, of course, see everything. But this is where, on the assessment tab, the student can see everything that's visible to them. And lastly, 1 minute before break time, there's a feedback tab right here. The student cannot do anything here, but when we demonstrate the faculty account and just right after break time, faculty, mentors, the principal can leave comments for other people to read. Student can't put anything here, but they can read the feedback. And so if there's some sort of dialogue that needs to occur, it can occur here and it becomes a part of the permanent record. Cannot be erased. So, friends and neighbors, Aggies, it's break time. It is 10 minutes until 11. And if you're still here with me, make it a blue ribbon day.
They're hanging in there, Andy.
Okay.
They're hanging in there. Everybody, we're a little nervous, a little anxiety. It feels a little overwhelming, but we're going to get there, everybody. Thank you for staying with us. So look, let's take a break. Let's take a 10-minute break. Get something good to drink. Take a little walk around the house or around your office and meet us back here at 11 a.m. sharp. Sound good, Andy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was actually going to take a short walk across the hallway here. But does anybody have any questions? I'll try and make it fast. Anybody have any questions so far?
Okay.
I have a question.
Oh,
just
Kelly,
real
go
quick.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, about how long did it take Sam Houston to get its students, university supervisors, school faculty, all of that trained on this?
It has been an evolution. It has been a journey. We try and introduce students to these to TK20 things very early on. so that they know how to do things possibly better than their faculty members do because they're used to doing it. But we hold a before the semester meeting with our university supervisors every semester. And let's be clear, we might get one new person a year. Most of our university supervisors have been there longer than I have, and I've been there for a long time. So they're used to this. And if there's a small change here or there, hey, we added this, or there's a new feature, go and do this, it's pretty easy. Anybody that's a university supervisor, excuse me, I'm going to strongly recommend that you have something like this just for them. And you go into detail about, because you're seeing things from 20 different angles right now because this is boot camp. You want to have something just for those people so they see exactly how to do their job. And maybe some videos for the students so that they know how to do their job, and for the mentors as well. And you make those videos available, because none of this is rocket surgery. Excuse me for mixing my metaphors, but it's not difficult. It's just different.
Gotcha. Thank you. Yes, Misty and I will be working on a special little training for our university supervisors, and how-to videos for our students and mentors as well. All right,
Okay.
everyone, get a break, take a break, and see you
Okay.
back here at 11. All right, thank you.
All right, see you now, few. I'm going to stop my video. There we go. If you say, oh, we want to change this, you can't. You either, I mean, if you revoke that field experience binder, everything's gone. All of the information is gone, and that's a bad thing. So if you want it, if you wanted to do say, clinical 3 and student teaching, that's 2 separate binders. Now it sounds like the clinical 2, which is their junior year, that one might actually run spring to fall or fall to spring, depending upon where they are. That one could run 2 semesters, but everything else is probably going to be 1 semester, unless it's a big combined course like an internship, which would run a year for students, for teaching. Is that okay? Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, so we're all back, somewhat refreshed. It is 5 minutes after 11. You've almost made it to noon. So here we go. What we're going to do now is look at things from maybe what you've been waiting for this entire time. What does it look like on the faculty side of things? And we're going to dig into that. And then we're going to run some reports, and then we're going to have question and answers. And I don't know if Val mentioned this or not. I don't remember what I had for breakfast sometimes. After noon comes and goes, and we maybe take a short break, I'll stick around for 30 minutes if y'all want to do ad hoc questions and answers. It's up to y'all. So that's up to you. For right now, though, I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to look at this from the faculty point of view. So let's share my screen. Here we go. There we are. Now I'm still logged in as a student. So the first thing that I need to do is log out of my student account. That's fine. And I'm going to log in with UTest faculty 0000, excuse me, and my password. Okay. And I'm bypassing the SSO, so I'm now going to flip my role from demo test to faculty. And here we are. Now I set up the coordinator accounts a little bit differently than the faculty accounts, but you're still looking at the same view. This is exactly what you would have seen, if you remember, when we were looking at this as a coordinator. But now faculty members who are university supervisors will do the same thing with a twist. I'm going to go to field experience. And now I'm going to click on assessments. Most of the time, unless you've got somebody that's just really remote and you've found a university supervisor in Lubbock or something like that, most of the time, I suspect your university supervisors will have a list of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 students right here. For our demonstration, you've only got one, but there's the last name and the first name of our demonstration student. This is the name of the binder. In this case, I've got it set for no term specified, so this could actually be used in the future if you wish. The main point being, though, however, I mention this because if you've got something that spans more than one semester, you can set up your terms however you want to. This term runs from January 1st of 2021 until January 1st, year 3000. So it's good for a good long time. You could set up a term that runs fall to spring or spring to fall if you wish. And all you have to do is define it, or let Maria define it, let Misty define it. Very, very simple. And right now, mine is open for editing. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this student's field experience binder by clicking here. Red flag, I haven't done everything yet. I am now the university supervisor and I have stuff to do. So let's take a look. Now you're about to say, hey, this looks the same way that the coordinator view looked. And I'm going to say, almost. The left-hand side is identical. The left-hand side is identical. You can still move this back and forth. But since I am logged in as a faculty member, I automatically see all of my forms at the top, and it does not show my name. Whoever is logged in as an assessor, be they a mentor or the university supervisor faculty member, or in this case, we've got it set up for the principal as well, they will always see their stuff up at the top, always under this heading. And then if they scroll down, they will see everybody else's. Here's Mentor Teacher 1's forms, and that's their name. Mentor Teacher 2's forms, that's their name. Here's the principal, and he's got some stuff to do down there too, or she has some stuff to do down there, pardon me. Okay. So the university supervisor can come over here to, let's come over here to weekly time logs. Now, you may remember there was just one of those showing. Now there's 2 showing because I was a student 15, 20 minutes ago, and I stuck this in here. So as a faculty member, let's see how the student's doing. Well, let's take a look at their entries. This is the same thing as on the other one, but this might represent the top 10 or 15 entries that are the most recent ones for week 2. Very simple screenshot for the student to upload. And I can close that. Very, very simple. Let's look at, we've got an observation coming up. That student had better have uploaded their lesson plans. Oh, look, they did. Let's take a look at the lesson plans the student uploaded. Okay, here it is right here. That's that generic submission that I was talking about. This is not a lesson plan. Here it comes. It's downloading right now. Okay, so this is what I want to look at before I go do the observation. Okay, well, like I said, this is very generic. And this is also how they might turn in some of their training certificates. That's tomorrow. If you're going to be here tomorrow, we'll talk a lot more about this. But it's just a Word doc, and I, as the faculty member, can see it. So this is the lesson plan. Okay, that looks great. Fantastic. Now, one of the things I want to mention now that we are in an assessor role, and I'm not going to demonstrate the mentor roles because they're identical to the way they function as a faculty member. There is no difference. in terms of what has to be done. It's just that they see theirs up at the top here, and it's a different list of tasks. One of the important things about the field experience binder is these forms, some of these being assessments, none of them are directly tied necessarily to anything that the student does here. Now, I know that we've got, 3 observations coming up, and there's a place for recording that observation 3 times here. And then we've got the first third, second third, and third third. Again, I don't know why these are out of order, of what's basically strengths, weaknesses, and goals that we want to impart to the student. You could say that those are tied to the observations if you wanted to, but there's nothing that stops you from filling out this third at the beginning of the semester other than common sense. So the forms that are filled out by you or by anybody else, this is a decision that you as the faculty in the program get together on. What do we need to know? What do we need to, what sort of things do we want to put on here? You talk to Maria and Misty, they build it, then they build it into the big field experience binder, and there it is, you test it out. Now you can see right here that I have started at least this particular form called the first third. Since the flag is missing, that means I've completed all the required fields. So that means I've gone and saved at least once. Here, it's all done. Okay. So I want to show you some of the forms, give you some idea of some things that you can do. I'm not going to fill out all these things, but here is a dispositions assessment. When do you want to do this? Maybe halfway through the semester. Okay. You're going to fill that out and tell the student how they're doing. Or you might want to keep this private. That's up to you all. Down here at the bottom, we got a save or a save and close button. If I do a save and close right now, this is a good example. You can see it puts a date right here, but there's still a flag because all of those were required fields. So I probably need to come back to that one. Right here, and I'm not sure if, the person that I work with at SAM said this is required by TEA. Val, you were checking into this, I think. Here is a place where the faculty member can record substantial contacts with the candidate or the mentor. Here is one for the candidate. Okay, well, let's see. Let's say we did something here, I don't know, back in January or something. January 11th, we had a Zoom meeting, and it was basic orientation, and it lasted about 30 minutes. And I can hit save or save and close right here. If I hit save, it locks it in there. There it is. Now I could actually delete this one with that trash can, but I could add any other contacts that I want to make record of so that I know what was talked about. In this case, tardiness. I'm putting an exclamation. Oh no, that's not the mode. The mode would be in person. You showed up at the school and you talked to that student about why they were coming in late, because this became a problem very, very quickly and we need to rectify that or you're done or something like that. That was a 10-minute conversation and that student was speechless. A basic record. This is one of your tabs that's called your contacts tab. You can have the same thing down here with the mentor. I can hit save and close. And voila, it's got it right here. There's still a flag because I've got it set to where you have to put in at least one contact with the student and at least one with the mentor. I think the rule is 3 that you have to record, but I'm going to leave that up to you all because you're smarter than I am. Here's a form I can fill out, a record of the formal observation. We saw this from the student standpoint, I think, or no, from the coordinator standpoint. Here is where I can put in my TEA ID number. And we observed this student on the 9th. We talked about whatever we talked about. The observation occurred 1 day later on 05/10/2021. Campus School District, CSISD, whoops, why isn't it typing there? Here we go, CSISD, we're at Demo Elementary. Start time for the observation was at 10 o'clock a.m. We finished at 10:50. That was a 50-minute thing. This way, Misty can pull this data in directly very, very fast and get it up to TEA. This is what we talked about. We actually had a post-conference on the same day after school. So that was on 05/10/2021. And this is what we talked about. You've got an electronic record of this. I'm going to hit save and close. And right there, where is it here? Right here, we have a completed form, no flag, of observation 1 details, which would probably go hand in hand with this form right here. So the faculty member is able to look and complete any of these that they want to. They can look at any of the student material that they want to, and they can come down here and look at any of the forms completed by the other members, the other assessing members of this specific field experience binder. And it's all about just this. Even though a mentor might have several students that they're working with, and the principal probably has a bunch of students there, this is all about that student. And so that's the beauty of this transparent construct, is it keeps everything organized and you can look specifically at one piece or another. I'm going to go ahead and pause and look at your faces, as I like to do, and see if you have any questions about how the faculty would complete different pieces of a field experience binder. Go ahead, Megan. Yeah.
I have a question. Can TK20 front load once we put all the information in about the school, who the mentor teacher is and all that? Can that not populate so that those supervisors or faculty don't have to go in and do that every single time?
Oh, no, that's correct. That's going to be done behind the scenes as much as possible. And that's actually a very good question, which I'm going to expand on just a few minutes here, a few moments. Normally for us, we have a student worker and a staff member who, in coordination with our field office, figure out way ahead of time, months ahead of time, where these student teachers are going to complete their student teaching. So we know what school it is, what grade it is, what the mentor teacher's name is, what their email address is, all this critical information, and they're going to build that in ahead of time, so that whenever we turn on these field experience binders or bring them into creation, everything's already there. You don't have to worry about it. Now, that said, as you all are probably in the same boat that we are, you get 2 weeks into the semester and all of a sudden somebody's mentor changes, right? TK20 is extremely forgiving. And if you need to go in 2 weeks or a month later and switch out one mentor for another mentor, it's extraordinarily easy to do that. The only thing that happens is if I've got mentor 1 and they filled out, let's say, a dispositions form, and I need to switch them out from person A to person B, maybe at the same campus, but I need to make a switch. When I do that, we lose that person's dispositions forms, but excuse me, but the new effect fill them out. So you can switch people out, but when you do that, you lose that one set of data. But it's extremely flexible and it's very forgiving insofar as if you click on the wrong thing or if you make a mistake someplace, there's usually a way to recover, and it's usually not bad. It may take the unit administrator clicking a few things, but it will come back. Did that help?
Kelly, I'm going to jump in here. And so part of the training process will be to train the field offices how to do all of that back work.
Yep.
So you will be trained on how to create the placements and put them in the appropriate chart,
Yep.
and then how to upload those to TK20 and assign those mentors and supervisors to the students.
Yes, and I'll go ahead and say that once you know who the university supervisor is, and you've got the mentors have to be built in TK20. That's going to have their name, their email address, the campus that they're at, but you can reuse them semester after semester. So you're not building them from scratch. We've got mentors in our system that we've been using for over a decade, and we just use the same record over and over and over, which is fine. But once you have all that information, who is who and who goes into what, it takes about 1 minute to build the placements for your student teachers or for any of these. It's very, very fast. It's kind of assembly line. Oh my goodness, this is unbelievably boring. But that's why we have student workers, I guess. No, it's not hard to do, but that needs to be done way ahead of time. And I hope that answered the question for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else have a question about looking at this from an assessor, in this case, the university supervisor point of view? Okay, awesome. Well, it turns out we may actually finish a little bit ahead of time. I don't know, we'll see. I do want to show y'all a few more things, some reports for field experience binders. We looked at some reports earlier for time logs. And what I'd like to do now is show you a couple of reports for field experience binders. Okay. So I'm going to minimize your faces. There they go. And I am going to, oh, and by the way, this thing is, as you're saving things, it's saving them. You don't have to have a separate button like with the students. I'm going to go ahead and hit close though. And this would take me back to my list of students. Right here. Now, I'm going to show you all at this point in time a couple of reports that you can either have someone else run for you or that you might find useful to learn to run yourselves. Reports can be set up to give anybody access. You never give students access to reports. But if you, as a field supervisor or as a clinical faculty member or as a professor, whatever you are, if you want access to reports, you want to learn to run them yourself, they're generally speaking not bad. They're different from other systems, but they're not bad. So I'm going to log out right now, and I'm going to come back in as an administrator account. Here we go. All right. So I've got this reports tab sitting right over here. And I'm going to search for the word field and press enter. And it's going to show us that we've got a whole bunch of reports that have the word field in them. I want to run report number 22. This is a report, you've seen I've run it 4 times. If you looked on our Sam Houston server, you would find that this report has been run in excess of 10,000 times, because this is an extremely fast way to make sure we've got everybody where they need to be. It is based upon placements and if they have a field experience binder in there. And so let's run this one. This is a great example of a report. So once again, start thinking Venn diagram when you're running reports. We need to restrict the number of records that we're going to sort through. Now, y'all's server is very new. There's not a lot of data on it, so we can kind of run this thing wide open. Over time, you're going to want to start putting some restrictions on it. We have some choices here as to whether or not we want to include that. We can choose to ignore a field, or we can choose to include it. Most of these down here I've already set to ignore. So I'm only looking at people that are in this demo test. Now, this class, I'm betting, is the principal practicum. Does that sound right to anybody? I can't see your faces, but does that sound right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that's already been set up. And actually, you know what? Let's do that one. This is something that really happened in the spring, or is happening right now in the spring. Is it in the spring, Misty? Or is this last fall?
It should be the one that it started in the spring, or it could be the one that's starting in the summer. I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm pretty sure this one was going on. I can choose a class. I can also choose all right here, but let me go ahead and choose this class. And I'm going to leave it, the rest is set to all because it's not that big. I've already looked at it once. And let's generate this report. Now, this is very unwieldy in this view, and you saw how fast that ran. I'm going to hit this check all button. To use Chrome, I want to use Brave. I like the Brave browser. I don't know about y'all. Okay, I'm going to close this also. It is 11:33. I want to whet your appetites to one more thing that TK20 does very, very nicely, that really empowers the individual programs and the individual colleges and universities to set this up the way they want to. Excuse me. And to do that, I'm going to show you how you can build your own report from scratch. Okay. When you build your own report, it's called an instant insight report. And an instant insight report is really only different than other canned reports that TK20 gives to you, in that the data is used in a warehouse fashion and it is refreshed overnight. So you can't run it on the same day that some of the data went in there. But there's a bunch of data that's in there right now that was put in prior to today. So before our last closing question and answer session, here I am on the reports tab again, and look at this, create new report. Okay, I'm going to click on that. And the first thing, this is a wizard right here. The first thing that you need to do, I want to remember something real quickly here. Y'all are going to get to experience a different functionality. Maria, you're going to send out the day one bootcamp survey for us here after we're done with class, right?
Yes.
Awesome. You're going to get a survey to complete so that you give me and Val some feedback on what you thought of bootcamp so far. And there'll be one tomorrow and one on Wednesday, on Friday, excuse me. I don't know what day it is. And I can see it right here. That's what reminded me. These are all the different forms that exist on your system right now. There is one page of them. Within 12 months, you will have 5 pages of forms, I guarantee, because you're going to be building forms to do this. These are for the students. This is for faculty. Everything's built on a form. And all these demo test ones, these are the ones that I created. And this one right here, you remember seeing this strengths, areas to improve, and moving forward. I'm going to go ahead and choose that one. And I could actually look at it ahead of time if I wanted to by clicking on this. You've seen it 3 times now, so I don't need to think we need to look at that. But there it is. And I go next. And I'm going to call this AO demo test. Strengths. Can we spell this right? Strengths. Improve. Goals. You name it anything you want to. Now, the reason these 2 checks are here is because this is the student form as an artifact template, which we could look at, or we can look at the actual assessments. I want to look at the actual assessments. Next. Okay, I've got this, I've got this set up so that we can look at the university supervisor first, second, and third. We can look at the mentors Let's look at those. Let's also look at the university supervisors here. These ones would apply only to the artifacts. So let's look at all that. Anything that was sent out, and I'm going to say during the no term specified, because that's the term for this particular field experience binder, or you can set beginning and ending dates. Very, very easy. And I don't even have to fill this part out, because in this case, with an instant insight report, nothing is the same as everything. And I hit generate. So any assessments that have been done on the strengths, areas to improve, and goals form is going to show up here. And let's see, I'm gonna do something here. I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller here now, because I need to be able to see the bottom of this. Here we go. I'm assuming y'all can still see this. Where's my scroll bar? Huh. I'm having trouble. All right, maybe there is a scroll bar on this one. Suffice to say, here is the data view, very detailed. Okay. The analytic view, because it's not based upon a rubric, is going to look a little bit weird. We'll take a quick peek at it here. Yeah, there's no analytic data because there's no rubric data there that's very easy to drop things into buckets. It's all free-form text. If you're going to be here tomorrow, we'll see a better example of a good analytic display of a form. But suffice to say, if you want to see how things are going and if things have been filled out, here we go. Let's, where are we here? Export this report to my computer as a spreadsheet. That'll be fine. And there it is. It actually gives it a good name in this case because it's an instant insight report. And here it comes. So let's see if we've got any data on this that we can see. There it is. These are assessments that have been completed. I don't know why they're down here at the bottom. The ones that are up here that have blanks right in here, remember that this is going to be strengths, weaknesses. I'm sorry, yeah, strengths, areas to improve, and goals or plans for the future. This is what people filled out, which, you know, is just dummy data, but it's right there. You are able to download this very, very rapidly using a report of all things that I built on the fly. I can allow anybody to use it by clicking that button right there. I can save it. Let's go down here to the very, very bottom. I can save this. And let me go back up here to the top. Sorry for all the scrolling, folks. If I come back to reports and I type in my initials, AO, there's my report, ready to run a second time, ready to run a third time. I built this 5 minutes ago, and it is now a part of the Texas A&M Tk20 server. My legacy is intact. And we were supposed to wrap up with reporting, and it's 11:40. And I'm actually quite impressed that we made it this far. I'm even more impressed that you made it this far with me, because I'm not the easiest person to get along with.
Great job, Andy.
But I think we're just about done here, Val, and we can do a deep dive into some questions now if anybody has them.
All right, well, very good, Andy. Let's open it up to questions. They've had a full morning looking at time logs, looking at binders, looking at reports. What are your questions? We have Andy to respond here. Please engage your mic.
Y'all are scaring me now.
While everybody's thinking, Maria is going to drop this survey link into the chat box. So you guys, if you don't mind filling that out for us while we're wrapping up.
surveys are a neat little part of TK20. They don't have, they're not as good as the Qualtrics or Zoomerang or SurveyMonkey surveys because you can't build logic into them yet. I've been harping on TK20 for about a decade now that we need to have logic. So if somebody answers a question this way, it goes to a different page. TK20 surveys don't work that way, but they are very, very good. And you can send them out to specific people, get their responses, or you can set them up like this one is a kiosk survey, which I like with course evaluations. I encourage you all to do to be truthful, because I can stand to become a better presenter, I think. And this particular survey, being a kiosk survey, is completely anonymous. So if you want to go off on me, you can do it.
Well, and we also want your honest opinion as to whether or not we trained you well, and you feel prepared to move on, and have we supported you thus far the way you need to be?
I'm still waiting for someone to unmute and ask me a tough question. Give me a tough question.
They're not a shy group, Andy.
This means one of two things. Either everybody's like, ah, or we did a good job. I'm not sure which at this point.
Yeah, all of the above, probably.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in and ask one question. Some of our students do observations, and material goes in different languages other than English, specifically Spanish. Is the program able to capture those symbols without having glitches?
You have just stumped me. I don't know. I've never been asked this question before. Now, I will tell you that if you've got someone who is fluent and can tell you the words to put in, you can build these forms in different languages so different things are displayed. But I don't honestly know. I'll have to ask TK20. I've never been asked that question before. I don't know if it will capture things if somebody's like using like what, an alternative keyboard or an alternative character set. Is that right?
Right, because for most of us, we use different languages, and we have like dual language programs.
Sure.
They have the ability, or computers have the ability to transfer that information correctly. Mm-hmm. But in some specific programs, you have to have it built in, otherwise it translates to the reader as an error. And so I'm just curious if they did that in a TK20 yet.
But you're talking specifically when they type in information, does it come across?
Right, because sometimes our lessons plans will be fully in Spanish, comments will be fully in Spanish, and I just, our prior program did a good job on that, and they had to be built in those linguistic settings. So I don't know if that will be an option for this program.
I can tell you that TK20 is used not just exclusively in the United States. It's like 99% of the United States or something. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's used in other countries. So my suspicion is yes, but I'll find out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mm.
All right, Stump Andy, ask me anything. It's an AMA.
I see that folks are having trouble getting into the survey. Anybody get into the survey yet? Can you give us a thumbs up?
I think Beth got it figured out. She's the only one that I saw.
I got in, yeah.
Okay, very good, very good. Any other questions for Andy?
And
the
survey does require a passcode. Thank you all for the thumbs up that you're getting in. Other questions, please, please, please. Or give me a thumbs up if you want to stick around and do an individual deep dive with me a little bit after lunchtime, or if you're ready for lunch, I understand. I am too.
All right, Maria, why don't you go ahead and move to our last slide, our sort of wrap up and reminder about homework. For our participants, they have homework.
Oh no!
All right.
So just a quick reminder that we've got day 2 and 3. So that'll be tomorrow and Friday. we do have a full house in those days as far as demo users. But if you want to participate and just follow along, let us know. We can get you in. Again, you won't have access to the demo accounts, but you will be able to join in and just follow along and also get all the documents. And a reminder too that everything was recorded, and we will send that recording out as well. And homework. So it's been a while since I've got to give a homework assignment. So you will receive an email from Maria, and it is going to have a TK20 planning worksheet. And in that worksheet, there's going to be some prompts that you and your department, your folks, your field experience office folks that are going to be interacting with TK20 need to complete and return to us. This is going to help guide us as we move forward in planning with you, so we know what we need to build, who is going to be responsible for maintaining, and so forth. So look for that planning worksheet to come in your email later this afternoon. And also soon we will be following up with a doodle poll to schedule a 45-minute training meeting with you guys from each program. So Maria and I are going to be considered the college launch team, and then you will identify a program launch team, and we will meet with you, and together we will move forward in creating the documents that you need to get your launch going. Any questions about what's coming out in your follow-up email? I think everybody's hungry. Okay.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a jam-packed morning. Lots of great questions. Lots was covered from Andy. Thank you, Andy, for reviewing time logs, the binders, running reports, and thank you all for hanging out online with us today. We're going to meet back here again tomorrow for day 2 of boot camp, and on Friday for day 3. In the meantime, let's give Andy a round of applause. Thank you, sir, for being here. We have a lot ahead of us. I want to end with a comment that Dr. Gary shared in the chat earlier today. Dr. Gary wrote, "This ain't gonna be easy, sir. You're right, but you know what? We got each other. We're gonna get it done. We're gonna stay positive and keep moving forward. Please complete the survey, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all. Have a good evening.
All right, Maria, you want to hang out with us for a second? Mr.
Yes,
Andy,
ma'am.
please hang out.
Yeah.
Miss Steve,
I'm here.
let's hang out for a couple minutes, guys. Let's see if anybody's going to hang behind or
Yeah,
see if there's
somebody
any
needs
questions
to
for
hang out.
Andy.
I guess finishing 10 minutes early isn't too bad. I mean, I want to give you your money's worth, right?
You gave us more than our money's worth.
I
Okay.
thought there would be more interruptions and questions as we went through, so that probably worked out really well time-wise.
Yeah, I think we did good.
Andy, I have a quick question for you.
Go for it.
I work in the field experiences office, and we, typically have uploaded the information in our observation system before,
Yeah.
but basically we provide all the information to someone else, and it was uploaded, but it really took like less than a minute. And I know you talked about this taking a while, and it was like an assembly line. It needs to be done way ahead of time. So can you provide more detail on that process?
Sure. I'm going to share my screen. Is that okay? Thank you.
There we go.
All right. So here we go. Can you all
And
see
I'm
that?
sorry, I don't want to take up everyone's
Oh.
time. I know it wouldn't apply to everyone. So just if you have some basic information.
Yes.
Oh, no, Tara,
You're
this
the only one here.
Okay.
So let me let's see, let me log in as my admin account real quickly. just so you can see this. This is worth seeing because even if you do something that's automated, if you have to make changes, this is where you're going to go. Okay. So I'm logged in as a unit administrator, and I'm going to come down here to field experience, and I'm going to go to placements. And I'm going to say edit existing. You can also create brand new ones, but edit existing. And if I just search for DEM, then I'm going to get a whole bunch of demo students. That's the one I was using right there. Search, pull them up. And what you get right here is the placement type. You can choose the grades. You can be very, very specific with this if you want to. You can be very, very specific with this part if you want to. And this is where you assign the teachers, the principal, and the faculty. These need to be predefined, although, just for an example right here, if I hit this minus sign, you see the information. This was something that I was mentioning earlier. Deleting this assessor will cause you to lose the assessment data. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes. Now, what I can do now is I can pick somebody else, and it turns out just about anybody who is a mentor is going to be able to go in there. So I can put person B in there because it'll work the same way. I'll hit search, verify the school. Yes, they are at Demo Test Elementary. And just like that, I've put them in. You now see test mentor B is in here for the principal. So it's very easy to put them in. It's very easy to swap them. Tk20 will give you the option of feeding them a spreadsheet with very specific information, and they will do the load for you. Okay.
That's good news.
Okay. It's
Okay.
good news until it's not good news, which means sometimes there's a conversation. And Tk20 will say, we didn't find the correct information in this field, so please fix the spreadsheet and send it to us again. And it's not like you're talking to somebody in the next office over. This is all going to happen in India, okay?
Okay.
That's where this automation is going to occur. And I don't know if they have a process to do this or if they have, a process to do this, or if they have a bunch of people that just do it by hand. But you would have to specify which field, which placement template, the placement type, all of this information, and the individual people's IDs would have to be created ahead of time. So you kind of have to know all of this stuff anyway.
Right.
And I will, go ahead.
When
At
we
Sam Houston, do you have student workers enter them individually?
Yeah, I mean, let me just give you a quick example. Create new.
Because we have 400 plus students a semester just for early field.
We're not tiny either.
That would take a very long time for us, but and we don't have.
Well, I mean, and whether or not early field needs to have a field experience binder is up to y'all. It sounds like it does. But the point is, I can choose the student, bang. Which course do I want to associate it with? And this, we're going to talk, are you going to be there here tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. There's an idea called what's called a phantom course. You probably have a bunch of sections of that early course, right?
Yes.
Okay. Putting everybody into a single class where you can pull them all out of one class, which would be like every single student teacher being in one section, can be extraordinarily helpful. I promise. I choose the demo test, add information. Okay. What placement template do I want to use? This is the one that I was using earlier. I hit next. This is student teaching, grades, if you know it, what they're going to be teaching, if you know it, boom, 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 and you're done in under a minute.
So I guess what I'm hearing from Tara is that with hundreds of students, this can be very tedious, but they're collecting this information anyway. So if I'm right, if they set up their Excel spreadsheets, which I'm sure that's how they're collecting this information, how they're organizing it. they can send it to Watermark via email and ask them to sort of run it for them and set it up,
Yes.
and it could be done. But they have to be very specific with ID information, subject, grade
Right.
level, all that kind of stuff in
And,
advance.
and I'll add a little bit to this since we're talking about that. You want to reuse the mentor accounts. If it's the same person, reuse
Sure.
the account. There's no reason not to do that. So as you progress through this, more and more mentors will be created, which means either you don't have to create as many, or if you want, you can send Tk20 Watermark a spreadsheet, a separate spreadsheet, and say, here, create these people for me. And they will create those mentors for you. You'll need their first name, their last name, their campus, and all the campuses have to exist. And I don't know if you've got all your campuses built yet.
Hey, Maria, can you send, I don't know if we can drop a document in there, but do you have a copy of that field placement that we use for principals, just so Tara can see what it looks like?
Let me check.
If not, Tara, I'm gonna dig around on my computer and try to find it, and I'll email it to you just so you get a sense of what it looks like.
Okay, well, that definitely gives me a better idea of, and we typically capture all that information. We haven't in the past entered TEA ID numbers. I think we have a field for that, but usually I'm not sure that we've filled in that information, but we can definitely, we typically have just a massive spreadsheet with all of the placement information. That's what I work on, but the upload of the actual information is really quick. But, in the past, it's been really fast.
So long as you've got everything in the right columns.
Okay, perfect.
Right. And it'll work basically the same with Tk20. It might take a couple of days because I don't know what their process is, but they will do it for you. The trick is, if you start reusing mentors, you don't need to, if you reuse a mentor, you don't need to send them that person again. You just send them the existing username or the ID number for that person, because everybody has a username and everybody has an ID number in Tk20. Doesn't matter who they are. And for the love of God, avoid duplicate mentors. If you looked at our system, you would find some of our mentor teachers across the last 15 years, they've got 4 different usernames, and it's because of sloppy data entry.
Okay.
Very sloppy data entry. Sorry about that.
No, good to know.
There it is.
Thank you so much for that information. That helps a lot.
Well, thank you for coming today.
Sure, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Tara.
Good one. All right. Okay.
I will stop recording.
Oh, that's why you're here twice. Ha ha.